All right, hi all. I'm sorry I'm just getting this to you right now. I know that this video was due yesterday. My husband and I decided this was a great time to adopt a puppy, and that puppy decided that it was a great time to eat a bunch of poop and get Gerardia. So, whoop, there he is. Some puppy talks for you. He's doing fine now, but he spent a lot of time pooping in our house and having terrible diarrhea, and then we had to go to the vet. So long story short, yesterday kind of got away from me, but I'm here to answer your most asked questions. This is a combination of the questions that I got from both bioanth classes, so let's get started here. Andy pointed out that a lot of these primates are about to go extinct, and what significant environmental impact would that have? That, of course, is a great question, right? Where do these primates fall into the, not just the food chain or the environmental chain or, their immediate environment, but what do they mean to us as researchers, as anthropologists? I don't know that anybody can quite say, but we definitely use these primates as a proxy, right? So when we talk about things in the past, when we talk about our ancestors, one of the reasons it's so helpful to look at other primates in our lineage or in our side lineages is because we do share a common ancestor, right? So there are traits that we may not continue to possess that our ancestors did, but that other primates may still have, and vice versa. We may still, possess some of those ancestral traits that have been lost in other primates. So really, they're our best kind of hint to the past, behavioral past, phylogenetic past, right, and physiological past. So to lose that would be pretty devastating, just on a scientific level. To say nothing of, the beauty of diversity. We have already outcompeted every Homo species, right? All the Neanderthals, Homo erectus, all the species that came about in our lineage, we have outcompeted. And we're the only ones left. We're the survivors. Do we really want to be the only survivors of the primates? That's sad to think about for me. So great question, Andy. Sadie says, I found it interesting learning about different characteristics of primate behavior. And that kind of got us on a whole thing. Ashley mentioned primates and humans are still evolving, so will there ever come a point where we will view primates less as an animal and more as a functioning species equal to humans? Very interesting. Nora said, out of curiosity, what do you think is the most shared social characteristic between humans and primates? So yeah, we do have this kinship, right, when it comes to primates. We are different, but we are kind of the same too. And we are seeing now that primates, a lot of primates, chimpanzees, gorillas, a lot of the great apes are entering into what we would consider the Stone Age. They're using tools. They're actually making stone tools for their own purposes. They're using long sticks to go fishing for termites and termite nests. So that takes a certain level of cognition. So some scientists do kind of argue that maybe they're just a couple millennia behind us when it comes to that evolutionary process. A lot of them have the capacity to speak languages. So you've seen, I'm sure, Coco the gorilla, who does the sign language. And she can actually put together syntax and sentences could. She just passed away, poor Coco. But that's pretty impressive. So that speaks to a really high level of cognition that should not be ignored. And again, when it comes to that idea that all these beautiful animals are going extinct because of human, mostly habitation loss, the way that we're using their habitats, it really adds a gravitas to it for me. Blaine, what are your thoughts on keeping highly intelligent primates that are closely related to us in cages, such as for research purposes or in zoos? That is a fantastic question. And it's kind of a scary one to think about, right? Because, excuse me, I've got a runny nose. You have these animals that are highly cognitive, that are able to hold on a literal conversation with us, that are able to paint art, right? So what is the morality of keeping them in places like zoos? I think a lot of people have debated that over the years. They'll probably continue to debate it. I have mixed feelings about zoos. I think it's really sad to see animals in cages, but I also know that zoos are at the forefront of a lot of conservation work. So a lot of what zoos do is breeding programs for endangered species, keeping them going, essentially. A lot of them use rescue programs. So a lot of those animals that you see in zoos are actually from worse off situations, and maybe we wouldn't survive in the wild any longer if you were to release them. That's not true of every animal, of course. You've seen animals that are born into zoos that live an entire life in their zoo environment that will never be released into the wild, that aren't capable of living in the wild. So, also another great question with maybe not a clear-cut answer, but pretty fascinating. And then both classes were really interested in lemurs. I was kind of surprised to see that both classes brought up these lemurs. Matthew and Michael, in particular, started it out, and you guys just seemed fascinated with lemurs. So maybe not even a question, but just lemurs are pretty badass. And I agree, lemurs are very interesting animals. Michael did his research paper on lemurs, and he brought up the giant lemurs that used to exist, no longer. But if you guys are curious, I would do just a quick Google search and take a look at those because they are weird. They're pretty weird, but they're awesome. They're awesome. Yeah, I love that you guys really latched on to these particular little animals. They're bizarre. They're unique. They're special for sure. So thank you for liking lemurs. I too like lemurs. I am in the lemur camp. As you guys know, you have your exams this week. Study hard. If you have any questions, my office hours have moved from Tuesday to Thursday because not a lot of people took advantage last week, so I just assumed there wasn't that much of a need for it. But if you guys do want to meet outside of that, I can, of course, do that too. We can set up a Zoom meeting, and I'm happy to meet you pretty much anytime, unless I have a dog pooping in my sight. But otherwise, let me know if you guys have any questions. The exam should follow pretty closely with the format of the last exam. Sorry, dog toy. And this one in particular is going to be tough because of the anatomy stuff, the osteology stuff. So just make sure that on that study guide you can identify each one of those features. I'm going to try to ease you into this a little bit. But again, these exams are tough. I know they are. So if you have any questions while you're studying, if you need any help, log on my office hours, send me a message, and I will drink more coffee so I don't look like this. I hope you guys are doing well, and stay in touch.